pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Mr. Gillespie.
Here.
Mr. Brooks.
Here.
Ms. Gilbert.
Present.
Mr. Barre.
Here.
And Mr. Barre. Also in attendance tonight is Controller Darren Snyder, Administrator Greg Baruch, Deputy Administrator City Attorney Tim Henry, Assistant Fire Chief Alan Clappett, Police Commander John Kirkham, Assistant City Solicitor Maureen Collins, and Administrative Assistant Lisa Sanfilippo. Okay.
Yeah, just one housekeeping matter. On Tuesday night, City Council met in executive session prior to their work session to consult with the city's legal counsel related to the case of Peters et al. Versus the City of Wilkes-Barre. That case is captioned at number 315 CV 152. That's the one strike case.
Does anyone from the public wish to comment on legislation pending before council tonight?
Is this about, oh, go ahead, Sam. I want to talk about the fire department.
You can, Father.
Do you want to go first, Sam?
Doesn't matter, Bob, go ahead.
Oh, you go first. You prime them up and I'll finish them off.
You're close. Sam Troy, on the concern, I have a question for Mr. Henry or whoever on the resolution regarding the sale of that property, 71 South Main Street for the development. So if I just get this straight as a taxpayer, this sale has actually not gone through. Now I know it was amended. The language was amended because this company, the development company, not the company purchasing the property, is now an LLC. Is that correct?
The development company and the company purchasing the property are the same company.
The same company?
Yeah.
From Mumbai, India. The ones from India, right?
I'm not sure where they're from.
But they became an Okay, so they became an LLC, and that's why the purchase actually went through already, right? I mean,
No, that's not correct.
it has not gone through yet.
No.
So technically speaking, if this thing is tabled tonight, which I strongly suggest it be, this could be postponed indefinitely, this whole project, or the whole transaction. I mean, let's say this has gone through, and when is the actual exchange, when does the actual sale of the property go through then? Does it closes when, like in a month, 2 months, or
I would expect within the next couple of weeks.
next couple of weeks?
Yeah.
So, was there a change in the language of the documents here as well? In other words, because this, another question related, is because this company is now an LLC, just, if I'm in the dark on these kind of things, don't mind me, I'm just an ordinary layman, but LLC means limited liability company. So does that mean, for instance, if this project should end up, I don't know if some of you new people were aware on council now, but a few years ago, Sinawat Plaza, we had a developer, the city had a developer there, Mayor Layton funneled a $2 million TIF grant to that Mr. Sinawat. It was a pie-in-the-sky project, condominiums, restaurants, etc. was supposed to create new jobs and be a boon to the city, tax-wise and everything, and now it's a pile of rubble. Can you or somebody tell me what's to prevent the same sort of thing happening again here? Plus the fact, I asked this last time, I guess before the sale actually went through, the old, before the new year, $500,000 seems like a good price on the survey. I mean, I'm not a real estate expert, but because of the fact this is a tax-free zone, and they're not going to pay a dime in taxes. The people who work there, right? Earned income tax gone, no earned income tax, no property tax, and just no other taxes as well. I mean, would there be what do you call a deed transfer tax too in this? There wouldn't be any of that, and there would be nothing, right?
There would certainly be a transfer tax.
There would be a transfer.
But I believe the property is KOZ, Greg, you can probably speak more to that than I can. How
It is
long that would
KOZ,
be
right?
effect,
It's KOZ to the end of 2024.
Well, is there any way that, I'm just concerned as a taxpayer here that these people are, there's a 4-year clause instead of 5 years, that's also an emendation here, right? That this can revert back to the city if it's not developed in 4 years instead of 5. So it seems like an advantage, I guess.
yes. The only change to the agreement was the 5 to the 4 years, which is certainly an advantage to the city because it'll speed up the project.
And this is an LLC, that's the other change as well, right?
Yeah, it went from being a corporation to being an LLC. Now, I am not sure why that company decided to make that change, and I'm not an accountant, but I would assume it would be for tax purposes.
So, God forbid something happens there, like, because I understood, I think it was Mr. Sork, who's not here tonight, spoke about the track record of this company that bought this property and is going to develop this property. It's not so great. In fact,
Now, I believe we checked into that allegation, and that turned out to not be
Not true.
correct. Yes.
so they have a squeaky clean track record? Was that what you would say, Greg? Not squeaky clean, but somewhere in between.
Well, from everything we understand, they have a great track record.
I'm just wondering.
We haven't heard any negatives.
Now that they're LLC, God forbid something happens. I brought up that cinema project because, I hate to draw an analogy here, but if something like that happens here again, the city could be on the hook for a lot of money here, right? I mean, and you have a pile of rubble. Is that
The
possible?
Cinema property is a private property owner. They went out and received state grants. They didn't fulfill the need for the state grant. The city actually pulled the funds away from them. So this company with the hotel, they are not asking for any grants. They aren't asking for any of that, and we put the reverter clause in, so the property does come back to the city, in case they don't fulfill the overall agreement.
Well, it sounds good on paper, but I would still strongly suggest council to table this motion tonight. Thank you.
Bob Kalabowski. I'd like to ask Mr. Clappett there, can you explain to me exactly what you're going to be doing with this, what you're asking council to approve here?
Should I wait till you're done with your?
No, that's why I want to,
Good evening, Deputy Fire Chief Alan Clappett. Hi, Bob.
oh,
The ordinance in front of the council tonight is a services fee that will be collected from a third-party company. We'll charge for services and materials that we use on car accidents, structure fires, hazardous materials incidents, and the insurance companies are paying these fees. The intent of this ordinance is not to burden the taxpayer, not to burden the individual any more than they already are. If the fees are not recovered by the collection company from the insurance company, we will opt not to go after that individual. Commercial carriers, independent businesses that choose to insure themselves, this company will go after them. But if the fees are not recovered from the insurance company, the intent isn't to go after the taxpayer or somebody driving through the city that happens to need our services. We have to use all kind of equipment and manpower. We recover that through the insurance company. They make 6 attempts with the insurance company. If it's not recovered through the insurance company, they are not going after the individual.
now, let me ask you this, how are you going to figure the prices out on this? And who's going to make the scale?
All the prices are based on a regional cost. This Pennsylvania Fire Recovery Service has been doing this for several years, for several municipalities throughout the state. This is the only thing that they do, the only thing that they bill for. They've been very successful. They have a fee schedule that is based on regional costs and what the insurance companies will pay for these services and materials.
Could I have a copy of that, of what what you're going to be charging?
I will provide a copy to the council members, and they can disperse it how they choose to disperse it.
All right, now let me ask you this.
The fee schedule is part of the ordinance. It's written right into it.
Okay, now, if the insurance don't pay it, you're not gonna go after it. They say, well, we're not gonna pay it, so that's it, you're done.
We have the option with the billing company to do that. It's my recommendation not to go after the individual. 95% of municipalities use this billing company. If the insurance companies do not pay, we do not go after the individual.
Okay, now, I get into an accident on the square. I roll over. I don't have insurance to cover that. What do you do to me? I come over there, matter of fact, like the guy did from Kingston, when I was naked, hit the pillar, one of the pillars over there, roll over, made a complete mess.
From the moment 911 calls us, we go and provide services we would provide anybody else. We'll not question anybody if they have insurance. We respond out and give the professional service that we give to everyone. Once that call is over with, our firefighters write the report. The report is put into the system. The billing company goes into that system, pulls the reports out. If there is no insurance company listed, they have no one to go after for that.
So in other words, so I'll roll over, I don't have insurance, I don't have to pay. Let's say Mr. Merritt rolls over and he has insurance, he gets charged.
Now, Bob, in your scenario, if the rollover was actually a crime, the city would seek restitution.
All right, okay, well,
for
it's
the
not, all
criminal
right, I'll
case.
take what happened over here. I got hit and I rolled over. I don't have insurance. Or I do have insurance, but I don't have total coverage on my car. So who pays for that? I mean, am I gonna be on the hook for that?
The way it's written, you will not be on the hook for it.
Well,
Yeah,
isn't that discrimination? In other words, we're gonna pick who we can get money off of, but if the people don't have money, we're gonna let them go. Isn't that discrimination?
That's not what he said. He didn't say the city was gonna pick and choose what people we were gonna go after, he said we weren't gonna go after anyone. If it wasn't paid by insurance, that was gonna be the end of it.
Correct.
So
Well, how is that fair then to the insurance companies? In other words, they have money, but if somebody don't have money, then they don't have to pay. And, well, what I'm saying is, if I have total coverage insurance, then they'll go after my insurance company.
Correct.
Okay, but if I don't have insurance, then they're not gonna come after me.
You would need to have liability insurance, you're talking about comprehensive, that's a whole different thing. You may very well just have limited liability insurance and they would go after that. You have liability for damages you would cause to another person.
Now, who is is this company gonna determine what you could charge?
No, the charges are in the ordinance.
It's in the ordinance.
Yes.
Now, just so council's aware, here we go again. Matter of fact, John, John Kerman, could you stand up a second?
I'm gonna ask you to stay right on this though, Bob.
Well, no.
On this very issue.
Not really, here we go again. Now, I'm
Okay,
good.
we're over time and the police have nothing to do with this particular
No, Bill,
ordinance.
now listen.
Finish up.
All right, hold on, I'm gonna ask him so I can show the new council people here what this is gonna lead into.
We're not leading anywhere. You can talk later if you want. Right now, we're talking about this.
All right, well, I wanna do this right now, just so I can let the new members of council, before you vote on this thing.
I
So I
need a
can,
history lesson. Speak about this particular.
I want to, but I want to have to,
Go on,
from the
finish up.
police department.
Finish.
Tell the members of the new council what happened when they passed the towing ordinance, or that towing contract.
Okay, Bob,
But-
we're not going back into the towing ordinance. We're talking about this particular piece of legislation.
Okay,
Deal with that. Anyone else need to speak
all right,
on?
here, let me finish on
We'll
this.
get you the rate schedule. We'll give you a copy of the rate schedule.
Okay, council, before you pass this, wait till I talk again, because I don't think the new members of council knew how much corruption
Bob,
went into the police department over a similar thing where they're gonna charge.
Bob, we're done.
Well, where are you going?
Moving on.
Where are you going?
Bob, you're not gonna stand here all night. We're way over. We're done with this.
Well, Bill, where are you going?
Bob, we're not going back to the towing ordinance 5 years ago. We're talking about this piece of legislation.
All right, well, if
Thank
you will
you.
allow me then.
Anyone else on pending legislation?
Members of council, I'll come back up and then I'll tell you what happened.
I know what
Mr.
you're-
Burr, just stay here so you can answer the question.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
This is on legislation that's being voted on tonight. Is that what this is about?
Oh,
On the agenda, no.
It's on your property concern? We'll get to that in a little bit.
Hotel this side.
The hotel, okay.
Are they gonna build this hotel right beside the Lane buildings?
No, those properties will be incorporated into the new project.
And how much are they being paid for those properties?
That's between the company and the private owners of those properties. Those properties aren't city-owned.
Right.
Right.
So then they will take those two properties also.
They will become owners of those two properties, correct?
Okay. Anyone else on pending legislation?
Okay, first up is the consent agenda resolutions, motion second and vote.
The motion, Mr. Mayor, second? I'll second.
Bill? Mr. Beluska?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Ms. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Merritt?
Yes.
And Mr. Barre?
Yes.
Motion passes. Consent agenda ordinances, motion second and vote.
Ms. Gilbert?
Second.
Mr. Beluska?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Ms. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Merritt?
Yes.
And Mr. Barre?
Yes.
Motion passes also.
Mr. Beluska, do you have anything for us this evening?
Yes.
Greg, there is a property where the old Carlos Sports Bar is, I'm sure you're familiar with it, South Wilkes, Gary Avenue. That is what I'll call a used junk lot, scrapyard type of thing now. It has built up over the past year. There's tractor trailers parked in there. I don't know if they own the lot, if they lease the lot, but now it's become a junkyard. Could we, look into that?
Yeah, that'll be something for zoning.
Right.
Pass that on to Bill Harris.
Right.
Make sure it's zoned appropriately and
And Mike, is that right on the old Carlos location?
it's set
Yeah,
back.
it's basically in what would be considered the parking lot, the backside of it, where it would, behind the building would be. It has, over the years, creeped a few cars in and creeped a few cars in. Now it's coming out towards Cary Avenue. There's tractor trailers parked in there, I don't understand that, but. And the other thing is I have a street light with, mind of its own, on, Oak and Plymouth, that comes on and off. And that's all. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Brooks?
I have two issues. One in regard to last council meeting when John Chicory came from South River Street in complaints about student housing around his property and the parties that go on there. I had a meeting with one of the vice presidents at Wilkes, and they suggested a possibility of what's successfully worked for F&M in Lancaster, where the city and the university gets together, inspect student housing, and then give them like a seal of approval. And what they found in Lancaster is that those landlords who don't meet these standards start to raise the bar for them. And what we're finding out is there's a lot of students who just say, hey, mom, dad, I found an apartment and it's really cheap. And the parents have no idea what conditions they're living in. And I guarantee you, the properties on South River Street probably get closed down by code enforcement the way these kids live. So that's something perhaps we can look into. The university's willing to work with it to create a kind of a seal of approval of those good landlords that rent to students. Issue number two, another thing to look into. Light obviously is one of our major problems, and Allentown, Harrisburg, York, Reading, and Philadelphia have taken advantage of a urban redevelopment law passed back in 2002 by the state, where a property committee to review blighted properties is made from a redevelopment authority. And a governing council, which would be us, the city council, can create this committee. Allentown has seemed to have tremendous success with it. And I'll give Mr. Henry the state law statute regarding this. And it seems to be very effective in dealing with blighted properties in different cities in Pennsylvania. And I'll share that information. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, we spoke earlier.
just a couple announcements. I'll be circulating applications for the junior city council next week to all the local high schools. The only requirements for it is that the student has to be entering either their junior or senior year in high school, and that they have to reside in Wilkes. Also, I'll be hosting a District C Town Hall meeting on March 30th at 7 p.m. at Marymount Parish Center at 154 South Hancock Street. And this is just a way for residents to come and air their concerns and shoot around different ideas and suggestions that some of the residents may have, because a lot of you guys have a lot of great ideas that I think would be very helpful for the city. So that's it.
Just one question for Greg. Greg, I've been going to Ron O'Malley for the streetlights that I'm having problems with in my neck of the woods. Is he the right person to go to?
No, it's actually Joe Rodano.
Okay. That's all I have, thank you.
Mr. Brooks was talking about rental properties, and we had struggled with those all the time. You may recall there was some mention at one point that we had talked about, you mentioned about a seal of approval, brought to mind inspection stickers on the front of these properties that would allow us and anyone to identify the property as being an inspected rental property. I know it's done other places, I'm an advocate of it. I think there are some rental properties that are out there that we don't even know even exist. And I just think it's something that we should continue looking at. I know I believe you were here at the time we talked about it. And maybe when you have your staff meetings with your administration, I can talk about maybe revisiting that idea. It would be very inexpensive to do. And I think it would help identify these particular rental properties being inspected.
So the purpose of the stickers could be to identify it as a rental property or a rental property that has passed
It
inspection.
would be both.
It would, yeah, it would almost play like an inspection sticker on a vehicle, so it would have a year and a date attached to it.
And somebody, a potential renter, be able to see that it was, clearly see that it was inspected recently. Of course, it would have to be re-inspected before somebody moved in, but even more so neighbors that are living in these areas would know that, hey, this is a rental property, there's no sticker on it. I think it would increase the number of enforcement actions that would be taken on the license and uninspected properties. And the other thing, speaking of unlicensed, uninspected properties, I don't have the address for it. It's the former eye care place, Portland Eye Care Place on East Main Street. We revisited that last fall. It's still boarded up. It's starting to fall back into complete disrepair again. We can take a look at that. It has been boarded up for a very long period of time, and that's in violation of our ordinance. Something needs to be done with it. Okay. And that is all that I have. John Hosky, sir.
John Hosky, on the link. Personally, I don't think that would be a good idea to put stickers on people's houses that are renting and having a system where you can see renting and owning. I don't think that would be something that would be too good for the city, at least for the people of the city, people who live in the houses. But I liked your idea, Mr. Brooks, about the blighted properties. Like, there really needs to be something that should be the most pressing issue of the city is blighted properties. If you want to, like, the biggest issue with the city is you have to change what people that don't live in the city think about this city. Because you don't have people moving in and wanting to come here, we're not gonna get any progress. You need fresh blood coming in the city besides keeping the people that we have in the city. Blighted properties are the biggest problem. If that's not dealt with, the streets are gonna look crappy, people aren't gonna wanna come here. I just think that blighted properties should be our #1 issue. That should be something that should be talked about at length every one of these meetings till we get something done. Do as much as you guys could do as about that. That is our biggest problem. I want to thank Mr. Brooks. I talked to Mr. Baruch about my parking situation I had. I just wasn't aware that if you get a building permit, you get 3 spots in front of your house. But I don't know. I had that situation cleared up. Thank you guys. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Walsh?
Jim Walsh, Wilkes City, members of council. I've been coming here for several years now and pretty much on a regular basis. And I'm still disturbed by these restriction of the time factor. It's 5 minutes. I think you should at least increase it to 2 minutes. I would hope you take that into serious consideration. Each one of you can sit here and you can converse back and forth with one another, unlimited. No restriction of time, but we're restricted. We have 5 minutes. Now, if we exceed that 5 minutes, then we'll get a gavel, but you don't. That's terribly unfair. And we're restricted from annexing a particular individual, a council member, what have you, of information we're seeking. We must address the council. That's a violation of our constitutional right of freedom of speech. Mr. Henry, what does Robert's Rules of Order supersede our freedom of speech? In other words, are we restricted? Does Robert's Rules of Order restrict us as to a time limit of speaking?
We'll answer that when you're finished here.
What's that?
I don't want to use your time, but we'll answer that when you're finished.
Well, I hope you do answer it, because most of the time you tell me that, but then you don't answer, you just neglect it. We come here, we sacrifice our time. You come here, but you're compensated for your time. And yet, you can't wait to get out of here by 7 o'clock or shortly thereafter. What's the hurry? We're here to solve problems. We're here to do things to help our city. That's what we're here for, to solve problems. Not restrict us, not restrain us. That's terribly unfair. And I don't know why you do it. Well, I know why you do it. Because you don't want to be here. You want to get out of here. But you're mandated to be here. We're not. And you know why we're here? Why we're able to be here, assembled? Through sacrifice. Sacrifice of millions of Americans throughout our history. That's why we're here. That's why we became the greatest nation in the history of mankind. Through sacrifice. Yet you want to restrict the sacrifice of us. That's terribly unfair. I have here before me a list I prepared. 36 members of my family, extended members of my family, served in the military, served our country. 36 of them served to defend this country and to defend the rights that we're here trying to express. And to me, when you do this to us, do it to us, you put these restrictions on us, that's a slap in the face to that sacrifice. If I ask young Ms. Gilbert or the newly elected council members a question, they should have the freedom to answer my question without putting restrictions on them. They should not be fearful of responding to a question that I ask. If they want to answer, fine. If they don't want to answer, that's fine too. But at least they should be able to. Not restrict them. This is still America. Although we're going down the wrong direction, as I see it now. And our country, I believe, is in serious trouble. And this is a small part of it. These restrictions, this control of the people, that torments the life out of me. And I hope that if I ask, I think Ms. Gilbert and the new council members, when they come here, all of you, should give a report from your district of anything happening or anything that you've been doing in your district. You owe us a report. Some of you have come here from here month after month and years and never open your mouth outside of reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Is that what you're here for? No, you're here to provide us with information and solutions to problems for the betterment of our community.
Mr. Walsh, I'm gonna stop you right there. We went over the time. I know we talked about time, but no one is here to infringe upon anybody's freedom of speech. No one here is here restricted to saying, you can stand there for your allotted time, and you have. You've told us humorous stories. You've sung. You've had songs. You've done pretty much anything you wanted to do. And within reason, you can pretty much say whatever you want to say there without any restrictions. We're not here to restrict anyone's speech, and any council member here is free to respond in any way that they see fit. As you alluded to, maybe they don't want to, maybe they do. No one here on this side is restricted from saying anything that they feel is appropriate in response to whatever council has on its agenda or whatever's going on at any given time. So no one is here to restrict anyone's freedom of speech. I've never seen that happen. As I just said, you and never other people come up here and have said pretty much anything.
You just contradicted what I've heard you say in the past. When I've asked questions, you say, Mr. Walsh, you address the full council. Don't address a particular member. Now you're interrupting me again. You just said what you had to say.
Your time has passed. I meant just answering your questions, and I'll answer that question as well. When you're here, you are here to address council. That's what a council meeting is about. It's not an interrogation. You can speak to us in general. We will respond to you with whatever concerns that you have. It's not an opportunity for somebody to stand there and interrogate somebody on a specific issue that you felt maybe you were wrong about, or maybe you have a difference of opinion. You can certainly express that, but to stop in the middle of your presentation to demand that a certain member of council answer at that particular point, I know it's upsetting to you, but we're not trying to restrict anyone's speech. We would ask that you address council as a whole, and at the end of your presentation, they are certainly free to respond in whatever way they feel is appropriate.
And yet in the past,
And I'm gonna.
when I've reached the 5-minute limit, that gavel's been wrapped.
Yes.
And when I try to continue to, you wrap the gavel again.
Yes, I do.
So don't say that you allow
And
the
there are,
extra
to be
time.
quite honest with you, we could probably spend a whole lot of unproductive time, with not yourself, but on some other issues here. We are here to conduct city business here.
What's the hurry? Where are you going?
No one is in any hurry. Please.
There is a hurry.
No, there's no hurry. And
That's
if
it.
council members care to comment, or Mr. Ryan, I know that you've always addressed issues that pertain to the rules of order and how we came up with the 5 minutes. I know that that's been in place.
I hope you're taking into consideration extending to 2 more minutes, and for each and every member of council to give a report of things happening in their district.
Your request into consideration. Thank you.
Mr. Walsh, I just want to make one comment. Again, this is purely for information's sake and because you've asked. This has come up numerous times, and council had asked me to put together some information regarding some of the questions that you brought up today and continue to bring up. In particular, I just want to address that according to the First Amendment, there are 2 types of public forums for public expression. One is called a traditional public forum, such as a public street or public park or street corner. The other is a limited or designated public forum. Council meetings are classified as limited, designated public forums. And as a result, reasonable restrictions can be applied.
But rarely is it ever done here.
Well,
Rarely. You've gaveled me down time and time again when I tried to speak a little longer than the 5 minutes.
Okay, well,
You've done it
Well, I
multiple
wanna know why he's not drug out of here by that officer like you do to me. Now you're letting him go, why didn't he drug out of here?
Bob, you're out of order.
No, I'm not. You let him go,
Bob.
now you should drag him out like you do
We're out of
me. He's an
order.
easy take too, he's a veteran. Should be able to drag him right down the steps.
Bob. Right there. Gina Ross. Bruce, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Hi, my name is Gina Bruce. I live on 24 Westminster Street, and there's a property 20 and 20 rear Westminster Street that's dilapidated, that hasn't been lived in for years. And the summer is coming, and so aren't the mice and the rats and the vermin. It would be nice if it was taken care of before then. Thank you.
Ma'am, that was rear 20 Westminster Street?
20 and rear 20.
20 and rear.
Thank you. Angel Mathis?
Good evening, I'm Dr. Swister. I'm here for two things, and I'm going to go a little out of order. And the first thing I want to address is the fact that last year, Mr. Brown and Mr. Vesco dedicated time into actually working on a no smoking ordinance at the intermodal. And since there is a new council, what I ask is that you consider working together and to implement a no smoking ban on the concourse. And since last year, Wilkes actually banned smoking so many feet before their doors. And they do enforce it with their security guard as well as the officer that is placed there. Because, you know, it's getting warm, a lot of people are going a lot of places. When you have health issues and you can't breathe, it's difficult. It's really difficult. And when smoke actually goes into the bus, because people literally light up their cigarettes while they're waiting before the bus actually pulls off. To the very last minute that the bus pulls off, they're sitting there, they're taking puffs of their cigarettes, and they're blowing the smoke, and it's coming into the bus. And so, again, I do implore you to actually complete a no smoking ordinance, because you can do that under the Clean Air Act. Now, the second issue I have is a more serious issue, where at this point, it's a dual issue. It's one that I will address also with Wilkes-Barre Area School District, but I do have an issue with the fact that my daughter attends Wilkes-Barre Area School District. She requests the assistance of the Wilkes-Barre Resource Officer at the school she attends for help in bullying. The officer did nothing. The administration at the school actually spoke with the resource officer and implored the officer to do nothing. So my question is this: who actually oversees the Wilkes-Barre resource officer? Who actually go out to ensure that they're doing exactly what they are supposed to do and not just bowing to the school administration? Because there's bullying in the schools and nothing is being done about it. And as I said, part of the issue I bring here, because it is an issue with the city, and I do understand that it is also an issue with the school district, but I will have a meeting set up with them. In fact, I am meeting with them Monday. But, you know, I just don't understand how for 2 months, a student can ask for help and a resource officer do absolutely nothing.
On the intermodal, maybe Mike, did we not pass some sort of ordinance regulating smoking in there, or some sort of restriction on that?
Not that I'm aware of. That doesn't mean we did or we didn't, I don't remember.
I know there was discussion on that, and maybe Mike might remember too, that it is city property.
I think Bill Bensko was working on that.
He was working on it,
So
nothing
we have to
working.
see where he left off.
I totally agree with it. It is a confined area, it's city property,
And I can
with it.
certainly reach out to Bill Vinsko, who
Would
would
you give us an
certainly,
answer? That's
yeah,
where that stands.
absolutely.
What we need to do to, unless somebody else feels otherwise, I just think that it's the right thing to do. No one should be subjected to secondhand smoke on the way to the bus there over on city property. Commander, I don't know if you have a little insight, or maybe Greg, on school resource officers and how that position functions in relation to the department.
Well, school resource officer, which school is it?
I don't think she wants to say anything.
Okay, well, if it's something that we cover, if you would like to get me specifics, I would be glad to look into it.
Yes, because I was asked not to give as many specifics because it's a tragedy.
All right, I'll speak with you after the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kalabowski?
Thank you. Before you begin my presentation, I'd like to ask Mr. Baruch and Officer Kern to get up and explain to the new members of council what happened with the towing contract when it said reasonable rates. Just get up and tell the new members of council what happened.
Just continue on, okay? And
But I want them to answer so they can tell.
They can if they wish when you're finished.
I'm gonna ask you to hold up on this. Now, here we go again. It says reasonable rates. And Mr. Clappett, I see in here we're gonna charge for an air. This covers house fires and everything, I believe.
Yes, it does.
I mean, what do I pay taxes for? So this does, here we go again. New members of council. What happened years ago, they came up with what they call the high bid franchise, where you charge reasonable rates. The rates went from $75 and $70 and $20 a day storage to charge what you want. Charge what you want. And that's what this is. Here we go again. I ask members of council, take a look at these prices. Now I already pay Mr. Clappett and the members of the fire department to protect me. Now we're gonna pay more? And the tower already charges to clean scenes of accidents. So how are we gonna make sure that the insurance company or the people don't get double billed? And members of council, look into what happened with the towing contract. Where it led. Where have you ever seen can you imagine Mr. Belishko, or you, Mr. Brooks, or you, Beth, where you work? Just, they're coming down for a loan, charge them what you want. It's reasonable, just charge them what you want. Mr. Brooks, you're gonna send us on a trip? Charge us what you want, don't worry about it. You're gonna change my rear end of my car? Charge what you want, as long as it's reasonable. And that's what this is gonna do. Here we go again. I hope all you people have looked at how much they're gonna charge. This is ridiculous. And it's sort of, I feel, is discrimination. Because you're only going to charge certain, if the insurance is there, good. If not, somebody don't have money, well, don't worry about it. How is that fair? You're supposed to treat everybody equally. And we're not. And with the towing contract, look what it led into. A man lost his life over it. We had police officers arrested. Liquor poured into the police station, parties in the police station. Where have you ever seen a thing? Reasonable. Who's going to determine what's reasonable? What is reasonable? I came here how many times and warned you? How did we go from $75 to $1,000 a tow to $600 a tow? And now look what this is going to do. You're going to charge what? You're going to let the fire department charge what they want, or this company? Naturally, the insurance that this company, you're going to give them the contract. They're going to come in and say, "Hey, let's charge for the aerial ladder. Let's charge for a pumper. Let's charge for a CO detector, an extinguisher, hand tools." And guess what? If we got to use hydraulics to haul you out of the car, guess what? We're going to charge you $1,500. So if you're pinning the car upside down, well, we're going to charge $1,500. Are these people like gone crazy or something? The new members of council, you have to stop this. Tony, did you just look at these prices? So naturally, this company is going to do just what LAG did. Charge what we want. Because guess what? The more we charge, the more we get. And that's what happened with the towing contract. And it's still going on. Still going on. Charge what you want. Don't charge what's the best for Beth when she gets her car towed, or when Jim gets his car towed. Just ram it to them and charge them what you want. Especially even a new mayor now. He took campaign contributions. And that's what this is going to lead into. So naturally, this company is going to charge more so they can collect more. I have never, I just can't believe now, my house catches on fire, now I already pay taxes, but now you're going to charge the insurance company for coming and doing all this stuff for me. But yet somebody who doesn't have insurance, they're not going to have to pay. So this is going to cover household fires and everything. We already pay the fire department, and we pay them well. So now we're going to charge certain individuals and insurance companies. And look what I keep bringing the towing thing up. But look what happened. Look the tragedy it led into. police officers arrested, liquor in the police station. That's what this is. This is gonna be one giant ripoff. That's all it is. And I'm gonna ask new members of council to table this thing. This is a ripoff, that's all it is.
Give us the rate schedule if you did. Yeah, I have it here, but I didn't know if you had it.
Yeah, I have it right here.
I told you. Anybody care to comment? I know we've discussed this.
I'd like to clarify is, the fee schedule is a fee schedule, it's written into the ordinance. The billing company does not have the right to increase any prices on that fee schedule. They're only allowed to bill for what we actually use. When the firefighter writes the report, if we use certain equipment or tools, that's what's gonna be in the report. They cannot add anything that's not already in the report, and our firefighters are at no time going to inflate the services or the equipment that we use.
But Alan, they don't have to inflate it. Look at these prices. Look at these prices.
These are insurance company fee rates that they pay. They didn't come up with these numbers they didn't pull these numbers out of the air, Bob. These are rates that the insurance companies are paying for the services and for the materials that are used.
So if I tell say I have insurance, say, hey, I don't want you to pay it, because guess what? I'm gonna pay the fire department $3,800 for coming to my house to fight my fire, and I'm not gonna have you pay it because you're gonna raise my rates up next year. And that's what they'll do. Everybody that uses your service that gets this fee they are gonna come after you and say, oh, look, we had to pay $1,800, we had to pay $8,500 for your fire department to come there, and they're gonna end up.
I think the chief explained it to you what it's about. I understand your point, and I think he understands the point you're trying to make. They are not going to go after a victim of a fire victim who may not have insurance, or somebody was involved in an accident that does not have liability coverage. They're not going to do that. So I think that some of the things you're talking about, I think he's addressed everything that you've spoken about. I don't know, I mean, you're in the business, you're in the service industry business. You know that it costs money every time your truck goes out on a call. In addition to your time and salary, and there's expendables that are used, a lot of these things, oil absorbent sheets and things like debris and those types of things are expendables that the city and the fire department in particular needs to replace. They are expensive, there's nothing cheap about it. You're in the business, you've been to many of these fires, you've been to many accidents, you know the types of material that are used, the types of specialized equipment and tools that they need to do it and to do their job. I don't think it's unreasonable. The insurance company is going to pay for the damage to the home, and the billing company is going to bill the insurance company for the equipment that might have been used during that particular event.
Okay, now you gave Mr. Walsh extra time, I'll keep
You had extra time, we went way over.
All right, but here's the problem, okay?
Finish up.
This is like what they call selective enforcement. And I'm already paying taxes for the fire department to come up and rescue me.
And our taxpayers, as he said, are not going to be affected by this. I understand what you're saying. I understand your point. I know what you're saying.
Bill, if you had insurance on your kid's car and you rolled it over, next thing you know what happens? You went from paying $2,000 a year to $5,000 a year. So I'm gonna ask you to table this, and you know, new members of council, ask them what happened with the towing contract where it said reasonable rates.
Thank you.
All right, I want the council to answer it.
Anything you wish. Anyone else care to comment? Okay. Thank you, Bob.
How is this fair? You won't talk.
Bob, we answered your concerns, the chief answered your
You
concerns.
didn't answer. Yeah, then what's gonna
You
happen?
may not agree, but he did answer your concern.
Well, I'm gonna ask you to table it so you can look into it further. I know you're not going to.
Down your road.
Dan Troy. Just a couple of things here. First of all, last time I addressed this body, I mentioned about how the previous administration was pretty arrogant, especially our fearless executive leader, Mr. Layton, regarding, in general now I'm talking public opinion, the input of public opinion was, first of all, as Mr. Walsh noted, I think during Mr. Layton's second term, the time allotted for each individual was reduced from 10 minutes to 5. Used to have 10 minutes for each individual to present his or her case, and of course the person could always be gathered. Now in general, that wasn't the only problem. I think most of us in the audience realize here that very little of public suggestions, public comments, not everything, but 90, 95, 99% in terms of suggestions or input was pretty much ignored by the council, of which Mr. Barre and Mr. Merritt were members of, and the mayor, of course. So I'm asking, I'm hoping here for, a new direction with 3 new council members and a new mayor, that the public will have a larger role in the running of the city, in confronting the city's problems, in helping to recognize in certain cases what those problems are. And it's not just, I mean, these are problems, like people have come and spoken with you here before about, the increase of urban blight with vacant properties, dilapidated properties, drug houses, etc. These things, need for stop signs and traffic lights, okay. But it goes beyond that. And one of the main concerns, 2 of the main concerns that I have, that I would like to talk about, relate to that. I'm just going to run this by you quickly and maybe hope for a reaction on somebody's part. If you guys are very reluctant to have somebody at least offer input in the work session, I think there should be public input in the work sessions, like at least 1 or 2 minutes. And if that's not going to meet anybody's approval here, then I am going to formally suggest, and maybe put it before a larger consensus of people in the city, that we have what I would refer to as a citizens advisory council, which is along the lines of what I suggested to Mr. George about a ad hoc budget committee for people to work closer in conjunction. More than just this, more than just presenting your case in 5 minutes and that's it, you're done. To sit in, for instance, on work sessions, maybe a group of 3 people chosen by the mayor or whoever, 1 person even. 3 people would be better, 5 would be ideal because that would mean a person from each section of the city, each voting district. So I wondered, maybe I'll present that more formally in the future. I wondered how that would work. To at least have those people offer some input, be able to speak at the work sessions, to actually nip some of these resolutions and ordinances in the bud, because I think the way these things are adopted and put forth are pretty anti-democratic to me. I still don't see, Mr. Ryan, I thought we were getting away from voting en masse on these resolutions. I thought, for instance, if Ms. Gilbert wanted to object to 1 item in the resolution, could she do that? I don't think that's the case. You have to vote on the whole thing, don't you? You claim, I've never seen anybody object, well, maybe once or twice, to 1 item in the resolution. But moving beyond that, we only have a short time left. We're all concerned, I'm moving to another issue, because of the limited amount of time. Confronting crime. Crime is something that's on everybody's mind, especially as the summer months approach. And more of our youth is on the street. And we're always reluctant to get youth blighted by crime, by getting involved in crime. And I think before we think about increased saturation patrols, as Mr. George suggested, the mayor, and maybe some of you endorsed, I think we ought to keep in mind, how can we possibly prevent crime? How can we keep these kids off the street this coming summer, when these summer months are very critical when they're out of school? I don't think anybody here has offered any suggestions. I'd like to offer a couple. We don't have, for instance, 1 swimming pool in this city. Well, we have Kistler, but that's really not a swimming pool. At one time we had 4. This is before you were born, Mrs. Gilbert. 4 swimming pools. I don't know if they all operated at once. We have what is called a splash pad, which Mr. Baruch was responsible for. No, I'm kidding, but you were responsible for putting that in. No. Somebody made the choice there. $143 for a splash pad that never works. Let's try to commit ourselves to creating a fund, to try to get a swimming pool open by next year for largely for the kids, but adults too. Let's try to get a skating board park. Let's try to expand the summer work program for these kids that go around to the different rec areas, to seeking more funds. You're a grantsmanship expert. Perhaps we can find more money to hire more kids and keep them off the street. I think crime prevention is as critical as crime control, and I would like to pursue that the next time. I wonder if anybody would have any comment. Thank you.
I think you're going to get a little bit of comment from a couple of the members here, and I'm looking specifically at you and Mr. Brooks. I'd like to talk about involvement, so go right ahead either one of these.
I'll take the committee part, you'll take the skate park part.
I have a lot
So,
more to address.
Mr. George, the last council meeting we had, we did pull out one of the resolutions. It was the resolution about voting for the mayor's appointments to the finance committee.
Was pulled up.
We pulled that out, and then we had, in the next vote, there was a compromise. But what you're talking about is what we brought up at the last couple of meetings. And I want to thank Greg Baruch for working on getting all the boards and committees and commissions of the cities up on the website and application process so you yourself can apply to be on one of these committees. There are tremendous ways for people to be involved with the city. And there's all these committees, so go to the website, and what will be up? It's up, there we go. Go to the website and apply to be on one of the committees. And then you can bring these things forward. I'll let Beth talk about what we're doing with skate parks.
Right. First, well, there's a couple of things I want to address, but first, in regards to the swimming pools and everything, we are working on getting a skate park in Luzerne County, specifically in Wilkes, to help get some of the youth off the streets and into the skate park, because a lot of them are, they're bicycling, they're skating, they're doing a lot of things. So that is in the works, and it's looking positive so far. As far as, having limited comment during council meetings, that's the nature of a legislative body. Anytime you meet with the legislative body, you are going to have limited comment. But, one of my goals is constituent outreach and ensuring that I hear the public and my constituents as often as possible. I have people calling me at 10 o'clock at night. I have calls overnight that I have to answer in the morning because I'm sleeping. I'm working on the town hall meeting, as I mentioned. I also started the Heights Mayflower Residents Association. I posted a Q&A video on Facebook. I'm trying my best to get out there to constituents and just making sure that I am getting that public input, because we are limited here. But that is the nature of a legislative body, to be limited and orderly. But that's why I'm trying my best as your councilwoman to give you a chance to speak to me as often as you want on many platforms. So that's all.
I appreciate that.
I just got one comment.
Mr. Mayor?
And as far as voting on items in bulk, Sam, if anybody has a problem or they're gonna vote no, it'll be pulled off and voted on separately. That's how it works. Okay, that's why last week was kind of a rarity, where we pulled it off right here, in the meeting itself. Normally the things were pulled off ahead of time and it's voted on separately. But there's a controversial issue.
Pulled off before the regular meeting.
Yes.
And as was mentioned, there are some great neighborhood groups that are going on right now and have been going on for quite some time. Started predominantly in South Wilkes with the District A group that has spread out. Even more so, the Crime Watch groups are another place that you can go. The Crime Watch meetings are another place that you can go. There are no time restrictions. Some of those meetings are quite lengthy, and that's great because there's some very good interaction. And that's the purpose of these, one of the purposes of these associations and groups. We allow you, Crime Watch groups, the neighborhood association groups that are going on. I know that we all attend all of these many times a month, and they are excellent opportunities if you want to sit down one-on-one at any particular point in an informal setting and talk about whatever is going on in your neighborhood, any solutions you may have. But going back to those authorities and committees, if you want to get involved, anybody wants to get involved, it's a great way to be involved in city government. It's going to take a little bit of your time, and sometimes the meetings may not be when you want them to be, but we encourage anyone and everyone that wants to get involved to do that. And as Mr. Baruch said, we've got the way to do that is in place. It's very simple to apply. You just look at them. I'd like to be involved in the finance authority or the parking authority, whatever it may be, especially if you have particular expertise. We welcome everyone to be involved. There are a lot of opportunities out there, a lot of places to meet with us, to get involved, and I just encourage everyone to take advantage of those. And we need to keep that momentum going here too. So it's not just here every other week. This is going on all over in all of our neighborhoods, all week, every week. And so just get involved. If you want to get involved, you have some good ideas, and work with them and work with people in your neighborhoods.
What about in fiscal matters, though, Mr. Mayor?
If you want to get on the finance committee, they'll welcome your input. Okay. And motion for adjournment. Did I miss somebody? I don't know what's up there.
Didn't have any idea. We have to pay for it, does it matter?
I'm sorry, I forgot.
No, we might have missed you.
A lot of people want to.
Sorry, I forgot about you.
You were supposed to-
Quiet. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Rick Guidance, 31 Melrose Ave. My question is with financial situation in the city. What are the requirements for city council, residency wise?
That was your, the only thing?
That's what that's what I'd like to know.
City council members need to be, I don't have the exact wording in front of me, maybe you're more familiar with it. We need, I think it's a year before you can serve on city council as a resident.
I
You
believe
live in
you're correct.
and you
In the
need to
district,
live in a
yes.
specific
There
district.
was an ex-councilman who lived in the hobby area while he was on council. I mean, it's well known. And, he's collecting a pension and health care. How is this allowed to happen?
I don't know the specifics on that. I'm not familiar with that particular situation, but maybe we can, if you do have a concern about it, we can certainly discuss that.
No, just curious how this, because I did speak with,
Not one of the members here, you're not speaking about anybody here.
no, this, I mean, these guys are legit, the last, council. Somebody that was on that. And I did speak with somebody who's currently on council, and he said, the guy would come down with like 4 inches of snow and nobody else had anything. I'm like, where was he? I mean, somebody just shave ice and throw it on top of his car. Didn't happen. Alice was allowed to sneak by, I don't know. This doesn't.
Well, I
doesn't
think
seem
that
right.
now that, I think this council with the district representation, I think is really on top of that. I can assure you that we all do live within our respective districts. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Council Mark.
And it's certainly the case that if, in fact, what he is saying is true, and it was found out to be true, there are procedures to remove somebody.
Maybe he had properties in the city where he could claim he was. Council Mark was trying to put this out.
Really? Thank you.
He's not here.
Rick, if I can make it down tomorrow, we'll talk.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, did we miss anybody else? I'm sorry if we put a blue stuff.
Oh, yeah.